It is time for the royal appointment. Ooh, that felt good. It's been a while. Naturally, this week's royal appointment was all about King Charles's first visit as sovereign to Canada to read the throne speech at the opening of Canada's Parliament. Here's the headline. It's in quotation, so we know it's attributed to someone somewhere in the piece. It reads, "The moment Charles became King of Canada." You know what this immediately reminded me of? Anytime Donald Trump was on the campaign trail and he was having a speech broadcasted and he wasn't drooling or tripping over himself or saying something disgusting about women or gay people or migrants, immigrants, Muslims, Jewish people, marginalized people, minorities, immigrants in Ohio, Venezuelans, East Coast liberals, West Coast liberals, AOC, Nancy Pelosi's husband, Bruce Springsteen, Meghan Markle, Beyonce, Taylor Swift. You get the point. And then they would quickly cut back to the news studio and some pundit would be like, well, I think we can all agree that that was the moment that Donald Trump became president. Let's get into the piece and see how the speech went. Quote, "As a source at the palace predicted in the lead up to the trip, the king did indeed walk a diplomatic tightrope. He has reached the other side without mishap. I predicted days ago that water would be wet, and I was right. Yes, he successfully crossed the tightrope that was laid on solid ground by you, the media. This was for the story arc. It was for the gram. But there was no real way for Charles to mess this up. He didn't write the speech, the Canadian government did. He didn't just invite himself. The Prime Minister, Mark Carney, did. I'm not saying that King Charles is not good at royal tours and he didn't do a fantastic job. But the way it was framed was in a very low-hanging fruit way, and I think we can do better. But let's talk about this short, impactful trip for a second, because I got some explaining to do. My last video on this article confused some people when I brought up the shade from a palace source about Charles doing a short, impactful trip. I can understand why some of you felt like I was reading too far into it and finding something that wasn't there, but the unfortunate thing about me is that I follow coverage of the royal family. Since the Queen passed, William and his team have been telegraphing the kind of leader he is going to be, and one of the things that he has really pushed as of late is how he is going to do royal tours differently. It's going to be a break from tradition. It's not going to be like his father. His trips will be short and impactful, which some people have criticized for doing less work, but trusting that he's doing a lot behind the scenes, you just can't see it. Which is a somewhat fair critique, considering he didn't become a full-time working royal until 2017. It's actually the same British media that came up with the nickname Work-shy William. So the fact that this source close to Charles used the same exact language to describe the kind of trip Charles was going to have kind of shows that it's not that revelatory of an idea, and perhaps William is not going to be as modern of a king as maybe he thinks. The royal appointment takes it a step further. This royal appointment talks about the trip and says that these shorter visits, quote, benefit the king who continues to have cancer treatment, delivering that favorite palace word of impact, see, in the minimum time. But it's not really the king's own preference. His instinct is to meet people, to have proper conversations and listen. Further down it says, for now, though, it was a neat solution. Doing the best he can when he can is the order of the day. Translation, this is acceptable for now, because I'm in my mid to late 70s and I have cancer. Translation, obviously a younger, healthier king could do so much more. Longer tours. Royal households work in silos. They're shady. They are always trying to make their principal look good. And in no world is Buckingham Palace happy that Kensington Palace is doing all of this work to telegraph what Prince William's reign will be like before King Charles has passed. Remember, King Charles waited decades to become king. Already this week, there was yet another piece, this time from Sky News, about a reporter's week with William, and another phrase that he's the silent disruptor behind the scenes. Again, going with the, you might not see it, but I'm doing a lot. These pieces have always been out there. William's team has always seen Charles as a transitional king. Why so many pieces right now? Here are my thoughts. Charles's trip to Canada was the last of his firsts as king. Among the big firsts as king are the first time meeting the people as king, first address to the nation, first Christmas speech, first tour of the UK, first tour of Australia, and now Canada. So the senior realm for long historic ties has been met, which has left me wondering if palace aides or his private secretary encouraged or sent along some feelers to Carney that Charles would be on board for a short, quick visit to Canada. I mean, this was thrown together by the standards of royal tours, even though he was supposed to visit last year. And I wonder if that, coupled with the influx of stories of what Prince William will be like as king, is because that might be coming sooner than we think. And that perhaps Charles is sicker than Buckingham Palace has let on.